Hi, I'm Heather from booktubes, and today is a reading vlog to try and get a 5-star read. I have not had a good run of finding new books that I love. So today, when I'm starting this, is March 18th, and I have had one 5-star read in the month of March, and it was an all-time favorite author, guaranteed 5-star read. And then before that, my last 5-star was on February 9th. So we're looking at like several weeks with one 5-star in it, and that is not my norm. I'm not like super difficult to get to give a 5-star. I feel like this might be the longest I've gone since I started the star rating system with not having given one out or having only given one. Like, it's just abnormal for me. I think I only have one DNF so far for March, which is also unusual. But yeah, so hopefully this is going to be a quick vlog and we're gonna find one within the next couple of reads, but I don't have super high hopes. So for this vlog, I decided to kind of go outside of my normal comfort zone and mood reading because it's not exactly working for me, and also I don't know what I want to read next anyways. So I am going with a spinner wheel, and it has many different possibilities of what I have to do to choose my TBR. So the first one that I've spun is oldest TBR, which would be something off of this. And I do already have Faking It by Jennifer Cruz, maybe, from the library. And I do not feel like reading this book at all. We might be back with the DNF very quickly. We'll see. It's from 2002. And I guess we're going to read it. This is not starting well. I do not have much enthusiasm for this particular selection at the moment, but it's still on the TBR. I haven't deleted it, and I can always say enough. And you know what? Maybe it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You just never know. So let's go. Hello. So it's the next morning. I have some updates for you. The Faking It book was actually from St. Lawrence Press, so deleted that off the TBR. So I went with a different prompt, and I spun the wheel and I got random number generator. So then I did the random number generator and I got 12, and I just did that based on all the books that I have on my Goodreads, different shelf TBRs. And then the 12th book on my want to read list was Perfect Crimes of Marian Hayes, Highwaymen #2 by Sebastian. I've never read this author. I've heard a lot about them. I've heard a lot about this series, and I just don't read that much historical these days. You know, I really don't. So I never picked them up, but I want to say that maybe Mara at Books Like Whoa recently talked about this, and I was like, it really does sound quite good. So I did put on the TBR, and that was my 12th book, and I'm pretty happy about this one because I've already started it and it's very engaging right from the beginning. And two, I don't know when I would have actually picked this up. Chances are it would have eventually just fallen off the TBR again because I don't read a lot of historical. But I'm happy. I'm happy that this is, you know, making me pick it up. So this is a bisexual, which we love. It's a complicated setup. He's like a highwayman, and he is the son of this duke, but like it's not well known, but actually the duke had married his mother, so he is actually the legitimate son, and he does not want to be nobility, so he's trying to get out of it. And so his idea is to write to the Duchess, his father's young wife, which is the girl that is our love interest. I think she kills her husband and then they end up together. But the prologue and stuff, very engaging. I'm in it already. This is the 5-star possibility. Prologue wise, I'm really liking this historical romance. And if you're not familiar with Cat Sebastian, they write queer historical romance, and I love that for us. And that's it. I'm gonna go read. All right, so I'm here with the update. I have a migraine. I've had a migraine for a few days. Life is hard. So I did finish whatever that book is called. I have no idea. Something Marian something. The Perfect Crimes of Marian Hayes. This is London Highwaymen #2 by Cat Sebastian. I have not read book 1, and I will say that this book was definitely written with the assumption that you have read book 1. It is still very readable as a standalone, but a lot of the setup overlaps with book 1, and you can tell that even though, again, I haven't read it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting with this one, especially if you're interested in both. I do think, based on the writing, I would go back and read book 1 at some point, or another book by this author. So this was a enjoyable high 4-star, but a 4-star nonetheless. There is a really delightful connection from these two right at the beginning, and you have quite a few letters exchanged through them, and you can really see why they would find the other one appealing and intriguing just based on those letters, and that's difficult to do, and I thought that they did a really good job of that. They're thrown together and he falls head over heels in love with her instantly. She's a bit slower, but not much behind. Even though it kind of feels a bit like insta-love, there's also a lot of pining in this book, and that they don't see how they can be together. And there is no third act breakup, which I really appreciated. Content warnings. Her father has dementia, which you'll may know I really do try to avoid in books. It is a trigger of mine. I did like how this one was handled, and it wasn't too much on page, but again, I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I had known. I'm just going to avoid that anytime I can. Also, it was definitely alluded to, her husband the Duke did not respect her consent at all and definitely essayed her. She no longer, or maybe never, but I think no longer, wants penetrative sex at all, and the hero is very much okay with that, which I really appreciated, because again, not everyone's happily ever after has to look the same. Also, she had horrible morning sickness to the point of severe starvation, and was lucky to have survived one pregnancy and childbirth and would not survive another. So obviously, even though when the book opens, the baby is already 4 months old and she's already, survived it, that is not something that everyone wants to read about. But overall, this book was not heavy or anything like that, and I would recommend. However, our quest for a 5-star does continue, so I spun the wheel and I got KU, and these are the books that I currently have checked out on Kindle Unlimited. Spark of the Everflame is long and is the first book in a multiple book fantasy romance series where I know they're not together in at least the first 2 books, and I'm not in the mood for that. Hero by Claire Kent is 170 pages and is actually my ace in the hole. There's almost no chance that this is not a 5-star book for me. If it's not a 5-star, I can guarantee it will be a 4-star, but almost definitely it's going to be a 5-star, and honestly, I'm not ready for it yet. Not ready. I'm still trying to find one organically. This one I know. I'm trying to find another 5-star. The Cleaners doesn't have much romance, I don't think, especially in this first book, and it's long. I'm not sure I'm up for that. How to Fake It with a Fae, I'm not feeling for whatever reason. Behold Her by Emily Antoinette, I think is a vampire, but it's quite long, which leads us with Mated to the Mad Marquis. I don't know who this is by. I actually just added this today, I think, and it has Primal Play. And you all know how much I love Probably play. As soon as I hear it's in a book, I'm probably willing to pick it up. And this is only 200 pages, like 210 pages, which is very appealing to me. This is by S.L. Pratere, 213 pages. I will say this is book number 4, but I don't think it will be a problem. So she is a 900-year-old winged witch, and he is a 500-year-old Fey Lord. Sounds great. Let's do it. Hi, sorry if it's dark. I still have a migraine. I am not thriving physically this week. I'm actually just very, very off. So the light is off because it hurts. Got a spike in my eye. So I have a lot of updates. This is my current comfort hoodie. If you see it a lot, don't worry about it. All right, first of all, made it to the Mad Marquis, DNF'd 20%. It was all right. They meet. I would not exactly call it kidnapping or primal, really, because it was his shadow magic chasing her. Like, we're not even the ones chasing or being chased. We're just watching a chase. Anywho, so then he like talks her into going to a town of humans to trade, and then the monster that she's been guarding gets out, and it's like birds, and it attacks the town, and now she's in jail. And he's trying to get the king to pardon her, and I just don't care. This is not a journey I wanted to be on at all. So then I spun again, and I got ARC, and the ARC that I'm currently working on, or was working on, is The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties, which is the third and final book in the Aunties series by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I gave this 2 stars, just like I did the second book. So the first book made me laugh so much, like I was actually laughing out loud, and that was just not the case with the final 2 books. I wasn't even really amused. I was more annoyed than anything else. I was already 50% through this book, which is why I was able to finish it last night. It does come out like this week or next week, or I don't know, somewhere in the 20s in March, I think. So I'm glad to be done with that. I got it done. I do need to write my NetGalley review. That would be a good idea. It's gonna have to be more than my Goodreads review was. So then I spun the wheel again, and I got unhinged TBR jars. So I asked on Instagram for some prompts. I put in some prompts myself. Let me tell you how enthusiastic I am about this. I am not. I'm not enthusiastic. I don't think there's a single prompt in here I want to get. We might be getting another Swift DNF. But here we go. I am actually, like, I have a pit in my stomach. I know this is all my fault. I did this. This is completely my idea. But I'm not super excited. What did I get, children? Book Ray would hate / love. All right, listen, if I had to get one, this was the one I wanted. My problem is, I don't have anything on my TBR that I know of that I'm already like, I know. Because I feel like I have a very good idea of what books Ray hates or love. I'm pretty close on guessing exactly what she's gonna think about a romance book. There's been a couple that surprised me, but by and far, the large majority of romances that she's read, she has liked exactly how much I thought she would, good and bad. So for hate, I would automatically go Kristen Ashley. I think that Ray would despise Kristen Ashley books. But I don't have any on my TBR right now. The next one doesn't come out till the beginning of April. And then love, I would go with like Christina C. Jones, obviously, or any Black romance really, even though she definitely doesn't love them all. But you know, that's what I would go to for a love. I don't think I have, no, that's not true. I have some, but I don't have any idea the vibe. Like, I have a very low amount on my TBR right now. A bunch of my go-to authors have either not been releasing recently, or the books that they've been releasing are in series that I'm not really that interested in. I'm not reading. I can tell you once I've read it, or once I've DNF'd it, one way or the other, if I think that Ray would love or hate it. Or I could go with a mafia romance. I have Cravings by Shon. Erotica romance. Okay, so when I said I didn't have any, that was a lie. That was a lie. And I have Going Down Smooth, which is a Omegaverse, which I do think that Ray would hate. I don't think Ray would be into Omegaverse at all. I don't think I'm in the mood for that, to be honest. I don't think I am. I don't know. I'll let you know when I know. Hi, welcome to a new day and a new lease on life where I feel like life is worth living again because I feel better today. So I have an IUD. I have since a couple months after my daughter was born, so for 6 years, and I don't have periods on it. Occasionally I'll have what I can tell is like cycle related things, but I don't have periods. But this week I had like some light spotting. Yeah, if you don't want to talk about periods, sorry. But my emotions were full blown cycle, and I've not felt so out of control of my own like emotions and well-being since postpartum. So it's been 6 years, I feel like, since I had such a horrible mental health day in that way. Certainly I've had my moments in the last 6 years, but yesterday, after I felt that clip, yesterday was just a horrible day. Laying in bed, crying for no reason, doing my best not to yell at people, again, for no reason, doing my best not to ruin everybody's day just by me being in it. And then today, my migraine is gone. I feel much more myself. I'm not like 100%, but I feel much more myself. And it's like life is completely different. Nothing has changed with my family's health or with my family's finances or my general, reality. But like, I feel like a different person today. One day later, same person, same everything. But because my hormones are letting me breathe, it's completely different. So I don't know. So if you're like dealing with stuff like this all of the time, like, it's okay not to be okay. That's my little speech. It's okay to be like, this sucks, because it does. Yesterday, in the clip that I did show you, I did the unhinged TBR jar, and I did book Ray would hate or love, and I read Cravings, which is the 4th book in the Kingstown novella series, 4th and final book by Shon. This is a series where 3 out of the 4 books are Black love, and there's one that is interracial. It is her brother's best friend. So the first book I gave 5 stars. The second book I DNF'd, should have left it as a DNF, picked it back up and gave it 3 stars. The third book I gave 5 stars, and the 4th book I gave 4 stars. This was cute. They met outside the movie theater. He made her spill her popcorn, and then they ended up talking, and then they ran into each other again, and they're hooking up and having an amazing time, all that. But it didn't quite get there for me. And then some of the kink stuff like wasn't for me. He was really dominant, but they like switched in the bedroom some. So sometimes he'd be dominant and sometimes she would be. And then at the very end, there is toe sucking, which is my least favorite thing of all time. I despise it. I remember I used to sneak watch TV on like VH1 and MTV and stuff when my parents were gone from the house. And I remember watching, I think it's I Love New York, right? And there's this one scene where they're like in the bathtub and he on a like one-on-one date and he sucks her toes, and I did not know that that was even like a thing. And I just remember the absolute revulsion flooding my body. Oh, I hate toes so much. Could never be me. Stay away from my feet. Anywho, that was a 4-star. I do want to let you know that's in there because if you're like me, then you're gonna avoid it at all costs. But it was overall a good novella. What do I think Ray would think of it? I think that Ray would be within 1 star of my rating. So a 3, a 4, or a 5. I don't think that she's read any of these novellas, but I think that she would like them for the most part. This one, there was something that she was doing that I was like, oh, okay, so she was just having a bad date, right? And she was being like really difficult for no reason. And he just like didn't let her get away with that and took care of her anyways. And I was like, Ray would like this. I like this and Ray would like this too, I think. So I think that she would like it at the very least and maybe love it even more than I do. I don't know how she feels about toes. I'm not sure that we really need to know that about each other, but now you know my half. No pressure, Ray. Then I spun the wheel again and I was like in no state. I was crying in bed. I was like, I'm in no state to update these people, to put this on the internet. And you know what? I don't have to. I can update this with whenever with what happened. So I spun the wheel and I got a Friends Rec, and I had from the library Follow Me to the Yew Tree by Desiree M. Nicoli, which was completely based on Robin at Paperbacks and Planners. She actually got the print of it, which I love the print. I love that they're doing like a character art in a different style. Give me more of that. I want variety. But anyways, I was like, oh, like I've been seeing this, but I haven't picked it up. Did you read it? I don't remember your review. And it was in one of the videos that she hasn't posted, which I'm still kind of hoping she would post maybe. But anyway, so I put it on my TBR and I got it from the library because of that. And I did not realize until yesterday that it's actually only 87 pages. Look at her having the pronunciation of her name right there. God bless. Desiree Nicoli. Is that what I said the first time? Probably not. But now we know. Nicoli rhymes with cannoli. Remember. So I picked up Follow Me to the Yew Tree, which is a historical Ireland and England fantasy romance novella. This has a hero with ulcerative colitis, which the author and her grandmother both had, and the author's note like made me tear up, honestly. And I don't really want to tell you all of the ways that the fantasy plays into the story, but basically the main character works for death, and this guy is marked for death, and she's trying to save him because she sees a vision about how they're in love. And full disclosure, last night I like could not decide what rating to give this book, so I gave it a 4. And then I ruminated on it a little bit and I was like, nah, that was a 5. That was a 5. I've already added another book by her to my list, to my TBR. I really loved, I've mentioned this before with Christina C. Jones, I really love reading a undesirable hero. I feel like a lot of times with feminism, with romance, with all these things, we are like advocating for women and femmes to be able to be more than one thing and still be desirable, right? You don't have to fall into the stick thin or the hourglass, submissive, always happy, always pleasant type and you can still be desirable and worthy of love and find a partner who likes you for who you are, right? I feel like that is kind of our rallying cry. That's what I'm looking for. But I feel like in a lot of times with romance, you don't give the same treatment to heroes, and a lot of times they must be 6'3", 6-pack, dark hair, blue eyes, you know, big dick. I've mentioned all of these things a lot of times. I feel like, especially physically, there's just not a lot of room for, and you can be attractive too, which I despise. So the fact that this man had an unpleasant, right, chronic illness, that was not the end of the world, and didn't make him unattractive, and was just part of the physical package of him. I thought the way that she just did the whole story, don't make me cry, don't make me cry. It's probably not hard to do today, but we're not gonna do it. We cried yesterday. That was yesterday. Today's fine, remember? Anyways, just the way that she did it was so beautiful. Like, loved it. Loved it. It does have an HEA while also still, like, I don't know, having some stakes involved, but with that HEA promise. And yeah, I loved it. I did. Really lovely writing. And fantastic representation, and so short and yet so meaningful and poignant. Yeah, like I really love this one. So that does bring us to the end of this vlog, because we got a 5-star finally. I have no idea when you're gonna see this vlog. Sometime next week, but it just depends on when I get it edited, and I will not be pressuring myself to do that. I've got a busy, and unfortunately, busy weekend. Yeah, highly recommend. Like I said, I already added another book on my TBR. There you have it. How many books did we read for this? We got 6 books for this challenge. 1 we did not read because of the St. Martin's Press boycott. Then we had a 4-star, a DNF, a 2-star, a 4-star, and a 5-star. So we did it. When you see my March wrap up, hopefully there's another 5-star after this. One can only hope. I definitely got the idea for this vlog from Meg with books. I watch all of her videos. And also Kayla at Books with Lala, Books and Lala. I have been watching a lot of her videos the last year or 2. Meg did this with Unwrapped last year, and I really liked it. And then Kayla is currently doing it with finding a 5-star for every book that, or every year that she's been alive. I don't know, I just find it interesting. So, like I said, usually I give pretty easy 5 stars, but March has been on the struggle bus, and so was February, after that first week of February, and so I felt like it was the perfect time. That's it. This update is 18 minutes long, so I cannot imagine how long this stupid vlog is, but we are gonna end it here. We're gonna stop rambling. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have read or want to read any of these. And yeah, hopefully the March wrap up has another 5-star after this. Bye.